Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this screencast about additional language instruction at IST Elementary. Before we start, let's take a look at the benefits of learning an additional language. Research shows that learning an additional language helps set one's brain up to learn other languages. We all know it's easier to learn a third language after you become proficient in a second. Learning an additional language also helps students learn, or people learn, what it takes to learn a language, that you need perseverance, that you need to get out there and speak the language if you want to learn it. Research also shows that when someone learns a second language, it actually helps their proficiency in their first language, because they make many grammar connections when learning a new language back to their first language. People who are able to speak a second language have increased confidence, as it empowers them to access another culture. And through language, one learns about the culture of the language. But what do the experts say? Scientific studies have shown that learning a second language improves brain function and stimulates creativity. The IB recognizes this, and that is why it is a requirement of all IB schools, PYP schools, and students at those schools to learn a language from the age of 7. Additional language at IST looks like this. All students in EC through grade 3 take Kiswahili. Students in grade 4 and 5 currently take Kiswahili, French, and Spanish. Prior to this, students, when entering grade 3, had a choice of Kiswahili, French, or Spanish. The challenges with the current program are that we only have 74 hours in a year to teach an additional language, where it is recommended that 120 to 150 hours are dedicated to this task. It also is recommended that students have opportunities to speak this language in the context of it. With French and Spanish, we have minimal opportunities outside our school to do so. And as you can see, best practice in language instruction are exactly the same as our challenges. Other best practice in language instruction suggests that language is learned on a foundation of speaking. After all, we all learned to speak our first language before we started to read and write it. Students and children, anyone for that matter, should be given the opportunity to fail early and often. Take chances with the language and not worry about grammar so much in the beginning. Just learn vocabulary is the focus. And frequency trumps times. We want to give our students more opportunities to speak the language. A quote from Greg Duncan is, "It is not so much the language a student learns, but that they learn a language." As research shows, learning a second language sets you up for a third language. Therefore, the further or more proficient you become in your second language, the easier it will be to learn a third. Another quote, "Just the experience of encountering another communication system and another culture sets their brain up for learning any language they encounter in their future. Language learning further down their path will be less foreign and less intimidating as it might be otherwise. Students will leave elementary knowing how to learn a language and what it is like to be proficient in a second language. Students will feel confident that they're able to learn a language and better equipped to learn a third. This is one of the paramount reasons we are making the switch to having all of our students learn Kiswahili at the elementary. Our way forward. In 2016-17, the elementary school administration submitted a proposal to the IST board to phase out the teaching of French and Spanish starting in 2017-18. And that Kiswahili be offered to all students during additional language lessons, and that opportunities for authentic exposure to the language be developed and promoted. And this, after that proposal was accepted by the board, a 3-year phase-out of French and Spanish was proposed. Therefore, this year is our first year in 2017-18. In 2018-19, only students in grade 5 will be taking French and Spanish. And then in 2019-20, all students EC through grade 5 at IST Elementary will be taking Kiswahili as an additional language. We wanted to give you a little insight into how we teach Kiswahili here at the elementary. In grades EC and KG, it is integrated into the students' play-based curriculum through songs and play. Our early years expert interventionist, Mr. Howley, goes into classes and integrates into whatever the students are doing and introduces Kiswahili language. In grade 1, teachers focus on the building blocks of the language, the foundations, the greetings, colors, numbers, etc., through songs and games. In grades 2 through 5, their program becomes much more differentiated. Currently, we have 3 years of themed units planned. Students who enter IST new would go into a year 1 program. And there are 4 units throughout the year that they would follow, all that spiral and build on one another. In their second year at IST, they would go into a year 2 program. If a student, so in any grade level, there could be 3 different levels of students, and therefore we are able to operate 3 to 4 different classrooms of Kiswahili during additional language time. Next year we'll be developing our year 4 curriculum as it will be needed. Just to recap, the benefits of learning Kiswahili are evident. There is the opportunity for a higher level of achievement, frequency trumping time because the students will have many more opportunities, immediate opportunities, as soon as they leave the classroom to try out and practice their Kiswahili. Contextualized learning, and they have authentic opportunities in our school and outside our school and in the local community. And due to the fact we only have 74 hours a year to teach an additional language, this can be supplemented with basic classroom routines through the teaching assistant in the classroom, and our school environment will become richer as the years go on with Kiswahili language. Other benefits are the empowerment and the confidence and the ability to communicate. They'll be able to communicate with our Tanzanian staff when they're doing community action service with local schools, when they're competing against another school in a sporting event, when they go on field trips, and as mentioned, in everyday life. The motivation for these students to learn is immediate, and it is authentic, because this is something they can use right here in Tanzania. We also are able to offer a greater degree of differentiation, as when everyone's doing Kiswahili, we can have 3 to 4 different groups, levels of Kiswahili, whereas currently we can only offer 1 class of French or Spanish. We can integrate it into our daily routines as well, and we get to create a greater awareness of our host culture. Other benefits, as mentioned earlier, is it sets the brain up for learning other languages. You learn how to learn a language, increase proficiency in your first language, increase confidence, and learning about the culture through the language. Thank you for taking the time to watch this screencast about our additional languages program at IST. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to to contact myself, Mike Mansell, the PYP Coordinator, or anybody in the IST Elementary Administration. Thank you. Have a good day.